So the question you're asking, like I just said a minute ago, is a legal question about what do you want to protect, right? So the issue we have to understand is that you have your personal life, you have another company, and a third company that you could very well be creating could potentially cause problems for you. What I mean by this is, let's say, for example, in the fulfillment process, something goes awry and you're unable to fulfill your end of the contract for whatever reason, right? These companies then that you're doing business with will come back and potentially sue this company that's brand new, right, that you formed or whatever. Or maybe it's going for a while and it gets sued. And so it goes, we want all the assets and all the cash and everything else inside this company. That's what we want. And then they find out, oh, it just so happens that it's still kind of attached personally over here to your personal lives. And so they can kind of come through here and take out personal things. So like in your case, your company DidSpade, even you personally, right? This is it here. So in the analogy that I love to give, I think I told you this before. I don't know if I've given you this analogy, but protection is like having sex. So right now, if you don't take any action at all and you just start the business, it's like having unsafe sex, right? So all it takes is one time to get screwed over. And then of course the LLC, it's the upgrade. It's kind of like our dental dam, right? So stuff still seeps around, and still gets you in trouble, but it's very rare, right? It goes down, the risk goes down, and so that's why I'm asking, like, if the risk of this new company, what is the risk to infect these two other things going on over here, personally and your other company? So what's the risk of infection, right? It's kind of like, if this company goes south or dies or, whatever, does it have the potential to pull these two things down with it? So we have to ask this question, right? Then the main protection is what we call the C corporation, and the C stands for a condom. So it's 99.99% effective. So again, it's kind of like, what kind of protection are we looking for as it relates to risk? And do we want to make sure that if it goes south, do we want it to take down the other two things you've got going on, your personal life and your business, your other business?
I got a delivery. 1 second. Keep talking to her.
Yeah.
So that's like, that is the concern that we need to ask, is how much risk is this new company going to create?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
we were looking at it from like a tax point of view, like, oh, so we have the S Corp and that's, works very well for our business. So do we have to take that into consideration? So we didn't really think about risk.
Yeah. So this is a classic. I mean, it's so interesting. So with this new academy I co-created, I should say, with two other women. One's a business lawyer, one's a credit specialist. We created a new company called Business Warriors Academy, and we're going to actually teach business owners how to actually set the stuff up from the ground up. And it starts with the right entity. And that's what you're asking, this question of, well, how should we set this up correctly? And it truly starts at the protection of the risk. So what's the risk that one's going to take on? And then what do we want it to protect? So by default, most people wake up and have unprotected sex. That's just by default. So then we got to ask, well, do we want the dental dam or do we want the condom to protect you? And again, it's all about risk. Now, with that being said, what comes underneath it is the tax question. So again, sole proprietor, unprotected sex, Uncle Sam likes to punish us for having unprotected sex. And so we know that we pay the highest tax rate, over 50%, right? This is where you guys were when we first started working out together.
Yeah.
The next thing is you can become an LLC. And as you know, Uncle Sam doesn't care. It still sees you as having risky sex. Therefore, it still taxes you a whole lot of money until you say, you know what, I think I want to really be really safe and only use condoms. And then we find that the tax rate drops. And so that's kind of what you've done with the S Corp in your other business, and what you could do with a C Corp. And so again, this is a tax question in terms of tax rates and tax liability. So by default, one wants to go, I want to go with the easiest route. Let's just do business and call it a day. And that's what you are. Because you guys are business savvy individuals, you're asking this question of, what do I want to protect and how much risk? And then what's the tax implication? So the tax is personalized to your guys' situation because you have multiple facets that are going to be impacted by decisions on this side over here. So real quickly, an overview is like this. The single member LLC, which is by default what you could be if you went with an LLC for your new business, it's still over here in this household, right? You guys are still over here in one house. And you can create an S corporation as well. It's still over here in the same household for tax purposes. But one other option is you create a C corporation over here. And if you notice, it's not in this house anymore. It's over here, independent. So from a tax perspective, the tax issues are stuck over here. It doesn't come over here, right? You see it's separate. Unlike the S corporation, the LLC, it's over here in the same house. So in your guys' personal situation, we truly need to look at the full picture of your entire situation and really boil it down to what's the risk and then what's the tax implication. And then because we don't know, we have to assume like, well, where do we want to take this? So with that in mind, we'll answer these two questions. What is the legal protection in terms of risk? And then what's the tax implication as it relates to your personal taxes? Does that make sense?
Yep.
Mhm.
So that's it.